Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a leadership framework that's all about one thing: making big, decisive moves. We're going to find out why slow and steady might not actually win the race, and why sometimes you just got to be bold. All right, so let's get right to the core problem here. Why is it so easy to resist small, incremental changes? Well, think about it. It just doesn't create any buzz, right? The impact is so slow, you barely even notice it. It's the kind of change that just fizzles out from 1,000 little moments of meh. So if these tiny little steps aren't the answer, what is? The alternative? Well, it's a completely different way of thinking. It's all about understanding what winners do. And that means we have to think differently about how you create real momentum. Right, so this is the heart of it. Instead of just trying to nudge things along little by little, the whole idea here is to make a giant leap. We're talking about a change that is so big, so significant, that nobody can possibly ignore it. This is it. This is the antidote to that slow, creeping resistance. See, being bold isn't just a nice idea, it's a full-on strategy. When you make a bold move, it completely shatters the status quo. It creates its own energy, you know? It snaps everyone to attention and sends this crystal clear signal. Hey, the way we used to do things, that's over. All right, so you're fired up, you're ready to be bold, but hang on. Boldness without a solid plan, that's just chaos. You absolutely need a foundation to launch from, and that foundation is built on two key pillars: knowing exactly where you're headed and having the right crew to get you there. First step, you gotta create a clear vision. This is the where. Your idea of what winning looks like has to be so incredibly clear that anyone on your team can explain it in one exciting sentence. Then, step two, get the best players. This is the who. And we're not just talking about filling seats here. We're talking about finding the absolute best people for every single role. And this part is so important. There's some fine print when it comes to hiring. You might be able to compromise a little on someone's current skill level, but you can never compromise on their attitude and their values. Why? Because skills, you can teach those. But character? That's the foundation. It is absolutely non-negotiable. Okay, so you've got your vision, you've got the right people. The foundation is solid. So now we move into action. How does a bold leader actually turn all that potential into real kinetic energy? Your main job at this point, it's to communicate, communicate, communicate. You basically have to become the chief repeating officer. You need to be talking about that vision all the time. In every meeting, every email, every conversation. There's a great saying: when you are absolutely sick of repeating the message, that's probably when your team is just starting to truly hear it. And for that communication to really land, it has to follow three super simple rules. It's got to be clear, no confusion, no ambiguity. It's got to be consistent. You can't be sending mixed signals. And finally, it has to be simple. Simple enough that anyone can get it and, more importantly, repeat it. But here's the thing. You always have to check for understanding. It's a crucial feedback loop. Communication isn't a one-way street. It's not just about broadcasting your message out there. You have to make sure it was received the way you meant it. So ask questions. Have your team explain it back to you. You've got to be sure everyone is on the exact same page. This leads to a really critical moment for a leader. You have two choices: micromanage or empower. Once your amazing team gets the what and the why, your job is to get out of the way. Don't control every detail. Just trust your people. Because micromanaging how they do their work, that is the absolute fastest way to destroy morale and kill any chance of innovation. You hired them for a reason. Trust them. So your job actually changes. It's now to help remove obstacles. You're not the director anymore. You're more like a snowplow for your team. You're not there to do their work for them. You're there to clear the path ahead. Your whole focus shifts to hunting down and getting rid of all the roadblocks, the red tape, the friction, anything that's slowing your team down. Okay, so the plan is launched. The team is empowered. They're moving fast. But how do you keep that fire going? How do you make sure all this amazing momentum doesn't just fizzle out? The answer is you build a self-reinforcing loop, a cycle of success that feeds itself. And this question, how do you sustain momentum? This is where so many bold plans fall apart. I mean, it's one thing to have a great start, right? But it's a whole other challenge to build a system that actually gets stronger as you go. So how do you pull that off? Well, you build an engine, a 4-step cycle. Think about a great sports team. First, they measure the right things. They watch the game tape to see what worked. Second, they constantly improve. They run drills to get better. Third, they praise and celebrate. They get hyped after a big play. And fourth, they reflect, reset, and go again. They analyze the game and prepare for the next one. It's this constant, powerful cycle. So let's talk about driving that loop. First, you have to measure only the right things. The big trap here is trying to measure everything. Don't do that. Just focus on what really, truly drives success. And second, a huge part of that is obsessing over your customers. You should be constantly asking, how do they feel? Are we making them feel great? You have to obsess over that metric. And then there's the celebration part, and this is key. Don't just wait for the giant, once-a-year victories. It's about celebrating the small stuff, the little plus ones. Did somebody on your team hit a personal best? Did you find a tiny 1% improvement somewhere? That's a plus one. You have to recognize it, praise it, and make celebrating those small wins totally normal. And finally, the loop comes full circle. You reflect, reset, and go again. This is that strategic pause, and it is not wasted time. This is where all the learning happens. You ask, what worked? What didn't? You take a breath, you reflect on the last go-around, you reset your strategy based on what you learned, and then you go again. Only this time you're smarter and you're stronger. All right, let's pull this all together and talk about what winners do. Because this isn't just a random list of tips, right? It's a complete, cohesive playbook. It's a whole philosophy on how to lead in a way that gets you real, sustainable, and bold results. So here's the playbook. It starts with being bold. That boldness is built on a foundation of a super clear vision and empowering the best people. Then you bring it to life with relentless communication, and you keep it all going with that powerful loop. You measure, you improve, and you celebrate. When you look at it like that, you see that being bold isn't reckless at all. It's actually incredibly strategic. And that is what winners do. And that's our look at this framework for being a bold leader. You know, the ideas themselves are pretty simple, but actually putting them into practice, that takes real courage. So we'll leave you with this question. What is the one bold move you can make today to get this whole cycle started?